Welcome, Mr. Gröttheim.
Thank you.
How have you coped with this difficult capital market year 2022?
I mean, we have global diversification in our portfolio, which means that we are less hurt than if you have, for example, a domestic portfolio in Sweden or elsewhere. The other thing is that normally in small countries like Sweden, when there are uncertainties and turbulence, the currency weakens, and especially against the dollar. So we have done pretty good relative to many others.
Can you stick with your long-term asset allocation, or are you thinking about making a change?
We will stick to the long-term allocation. We will introduce new regulation and be able to invest in real estate and infrastructure next year. And that will give us opportunity to broaden the investment universe, which is good for the portfolio. But other than that, we will stick to the long-term high risk in our portfolio.
And what about Europe? Has the share of Europe in the equity funds asset allocation changed?
The allocation is given by the broader index in the investment. So we use a broad global index. And in that index, it's not been very much changes. Maybe the dollar weight has increased a little bit, but other than that, it's pretty stable.
Where do you see the biggest risk for institutional investors next year?
Obviously, I mean, the high inflation rate in the world is of course a concern. And it's a question about how much do the central banks need to raise the interest rates. And of course, that will be challenging for equity markets and then also for interest rates market as the rates go up. But in this environment, you have to stay with your long-term plan, so to speak. If you look at other turbulent periods, as the crisis we had in 2011, for example, in the European crisis, if you look at the long-term graph on the equity market, that is just a small dip. But at that time, when you're in the middle of it, it feels bad, but you have to have the long-term perspective.
So you're rather optimistic, or what are your expectations on the equity side?
I would say that short term, there could, of course, be more turbulence in 2023. But if you look at the long-term perspective, I'm still positive on equities because global savings will go more and more into equities. You have more and more funded pension system in the world. I mean, in Germany, for example, you're talking about that as well, and you have got it in other countries. That means that the flow into the equity market will continue. So in the long-term perspective, I'm not worried.